We're at the INSEAD Leadership Summit Europe, celebrating the school's 50th anniversary. We're here with Chris Taylor of Tropical Telecom. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off with the economic crisis. How has it impacted you?
We're a U.S.-based company, U.S. Virgin Islands actually, but our biggest market actually happens to be Haiti. And the interesting response you get out of most business people in Haiti is, what crisis? Because of the fact that they've been in constant crisis mode for so many years, that essentially the global financial meltdown hasn't made a great impact on the local economy. Obviously, we had the massive earthquake earlier this year, and that's a different story. But in the run-up, between the economic meltdown and the earthquake, what we did see was a significant reduction in the remittances. Obviously, the developing world survives in large part on remittances. In the case of Haiti, our largest market, about 35% of the GDP comes from remittances from the diaspora living U.S., France, and elsewhere. So obviously in tough economic times, those people lose their jobs and they can't support their families back at home.
How did you react? You had the economic crisis plus the Haitian crisis. What did the company do?
We think that there's, obviously with adversity comes great opportunity. We're the largest internet service provider, but the penetration of internet in the country is still under 1%. So even in spite of the fact that there's tough times, there's still opportunities to grow because it's just such a basic service. In the period following the earthquake in Haiti, there was actually no cell phone service. The landlines were completely wiped out, and the only service that actually continued to operate was our internet. So the news getting to the world was coming across Facebook, Twitter, posts on various social networking sites that were all held up by the fact that we already had, power was out for 2 months, but every one of our sites, the ones that survived, had backup power already because we were already used to operating in an adverse environment.
But is there financial benefit to this?
Hopefully we'll end up where we started. We lost about 20% of our network assets. We're, again, wireless internet service provider, so most of our stations are on top of buildings, and when the buildings came down, so did our sites. And so from a capital standpoint, we took a very large hit, and our subscriber base is off on the numbers, of subscribers off by about 15%. Which actually I consider pretty good.
That's
considering the damage in the country. From a revenue basis, we're doing better than that because of the fact that while the numbers are down, the residential market was hit particularly hard, whereas the corporate and NGO and government market is actually picked up because you've got so much international presence coming in trying to do what they can to help.
How do you react in a situation like that? What are your gut instincts?
Well, I actually happened to be in Port-au-Prince during the earthquake, and the most remarkable thing was that there were no sirens, there were no police, there was no military, there was no ambulance, there was nothing. The only sound was the shouts and screams of hundreds of thousands of people all night long. So it was really just a tragic situation. We reacted by opening up our network, making it free for use for everyone. We set up Wi-Fi points around the city for the first aid organizations, for the UN, for U.S. government. We gave away several hundred services to various organizations who were first responders, international people coming in. Because again, once the cellular networks came back up, they were so saturated that you still couldn't make a phone call. So we are also the largest VoIP operator in the country, and VoIP never missed a beat. So you could make a call over the internet. Was really the only way to get calls in and out, Skype or Vonage or our own service. And it really helped keep the country connected. So we really felt a strong sense of purpose to make sure that everything operated as effectively and as efficiently as possible, such that the country could stay connected and the aid effort could really get developed as quickly as possible.
How do you balance the humanitarian aspect of what's happened with the business aspect? Because after all, you're a business.
Obviously, for 2 months, we gave away our services. So we took a 2-month revenue hit. The corporations continued to pay us, but our smaller business and residential customers enjoyed the service without paying for it. But then we also have enjoyed the backing of various international companies who basically came to our aid because they saw our efforts, and they came and helped us by both reducing our international fees for international bandwidth or helping us to replace replace some of the equipment that got destroyed and so on. So we actually helped some of our smaller competitors get back on the air as well. They'd lost their international connectivity. They couldn't broadcast. So that was a decision which hurt us from a business standpoint, but it helped. They had their thousands of customers. They were able to get those customers communicating with the world, and that helped bring the response and get the world's attention focused that much faster.
This isn't the type of situation that you would study at business school. I'm wondering how you dealt with this.
The typical person from a developing market understands macroeconomics a lot better than the person from the developing market, because they understand what inflation does to their pocketbook. And obviously the lessons from macroeconomics and strategy and what to do in the face of adversity certainly were lessons that I took from business school, from INSEAD, and was able to apply. It's just that everything happens in a split second instead of happening over weeks or months or years, as it typically would in a more developed situation.
How did you handle this personally?
I felt lucky that I was okay, and we actually, because it was business hours, it was 10 minutes to 5 in the afternoon, and we did lose any of our structures. We didn't lose any of our employees. We had about 200 staff in country, but we did lose about 50 or 60 family members of our staff. They were okay, but then they went home and found collapsed homes and that sort of thing. So it certainly hit home personally, and we did everything we can to help our staff who lost their homes by putting them in temporary housing, providing tents, allowing them to use the business facilities, etc.
What is your prognosis in a year, 3 years, 5 years down the road?
The run-up to this, it was actually looking like, in the face of the international, crisis, economic crisis, that things might actually be looking up. Now I would say the next year, the crisis, we're in the midst of the crisis now. We're coming into the rainy season, lots of people in tent cities. Despite the international efforts to bring aid, there's still so much needed. And then the focus of the aid, the problem is that you can distort the markets. So, like for example, if someone's job becomes to stand in line for 4 hours every day to get the food for themselves and their family every day, then that becomes their job, and every day they're doing it. But then the day you stop giving food away, you've not created anything. You've not created any economic activity. And meanwhile, the supermarket next door has closed its doors, because why would they be able to sell anything if the food's for free? So it's a really tough challenge to try to make this transition from immediate response to actually sustainable development. The infrastructure is destroyed, so there's literally hundreds of thousands of jobs to be had, but you got to organize that, and you got to pay people, because then once people get paid, then they can go to the supermarket, and then people at the supermarket can hire people, and it just starts, that money starts going around in the economy 3, 4, 5, 6 times, makes a much bigger impact than flying someone in from some country who wants to do good, but they're standing there and handing out food. That lasts as long as it takes for them to eat and digest that food.
What about INSEAD? What role has that played?
First of all, the global network has been very useful. Just in the build-up and the creation of business, it's very common that you need an attorney in one country, and you're going into country X and you've never been there before. You see an opportunity, but you don't have the local knowledge, and so you reach out to the network, and the network helps. That's I think the unique thing about INSEAD, is that I have friends that went to other major business schools, and they're always amazed that I can reach into the INSEAD network and get answers back, not just answers, but valuable answers so quickly, because you went to a large school, and people sort of say, so what? They don't particularly care to help you. But something about INSEAD makes the community very tight and very willing to help. And then, of course, from the development side, INSEAD gives you a great base in everything you need. And I took every entrepreneurship elective that the school offered, and I'm happy to see that the curriculum has continued to expand to embrace entrepreneurship. Of social entrepreneurship, standard, for economic purposes only entrepreneurship, whatever it is. I think it's great that they're providing the toolkit to students coming out to be able to go and compete in this tough environment.
Great. Thank you very much for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you. My pleasure.